What's up, my DEGENS? How we doing? I'm Nerd Boy Takes. Underneath me right now is Mad Dog. Mad Dog, what's up, dog?
What's
Doggy
up,
dog, dog,
man?
dog, dog. I'll say dog one more time. What's up, dog?
Let- Let's get one more redraft in before the season starts. Hey, I'm excited to see where these
Yeah.
rookies go in this draft.
Yeah, we're a dynasty pod, but like we want to see value, we want to see what's going on in the redraft board a little bit. Obviously, we're going to be in redraft leagues. I know you guys have home leagues coming up. I know everyone is locked in the redraft season right now. So even though we have a couple of redraft pods, this is fun exercise, man. I like to do this with friends. I like to do this with the boys at home. Nothing better than a home league, dude. I mean, I drag on home leagues all the time because these guys are like not locked in for the whole year, and then they jump in and they're like, let's go, let's get Zeke Elliott, let's get these guys. And it's like, I love it though. I mean, it's fun. It's not like I'm gonna get my value from it, but like you're hanging with the boys, man, drinking some beer, talking about whatever, Sunday night, Sunday games. Like I love the feel of getting those. Nothing better than winning your home league at that point, because you know these guys through and through. You've been growing up with them and stuff. So that's the feels of the home league, man. I think there's just a special feel to it for sure.
100%.
But I pulled some guys from Discord today. We are going to be obviously doing the redraft show, but I'm very curious to see where these guys go. Obviously, we see some off-season talk of Godwin coming back maybe early in the season, week 4, week 5. We're seeing all these guys, Ja'Cory Krosky, Merritt, is Brian. Like, we're not doing a deep bench right now, so I don't even know if these guys are draftable at this point, but I want to see the reaches. I want to see where everyone's going. I just like to see the change in value because it's a fun exercise, one, and then it's also going to give you an edge in your leagues too, to know where these guys are going to go, to reach on guys that you can reach on. I'm always on board with reaching guys in redrafts because the board's so wacky. Like, sleeper's good, but if you're in like an ESPN draft or you're in a Yahoo draft or whatever it is, their values are crazy, dude. So like if you see a sleeper board and you get to see where these guys go, and then you jump into an ESPN draft and like, somebody like Tatora McMillan is going in the 4th round of a sleeper draft, they're going in like the 7th, 8th, 9th round in ESPN. They're going back end of the, 50th percentile when it comes to wide receivers. It's fun, man. It's wacky, but let's see if I can get all these guys in here. If Curdy's listening, I need Curdy in there. I need Warlick Panda, Huncho. Man, I'm missing some guys right now. Let's send out a little chat right here. Let's make sure all these guys are locked in.
I got them. We'll go.
Lock in, boys. Let's get this going. While we wait, let's talk guys that you're excited to see go off the board. Dane, what are you most excited about in redraft when it comes to value? I know we talked about Ibuka backstage a little bit to see where he goes. Obviously, he's been rising up a little bit. Is there anybody else? This is a super flex redraft, by the way. So we're talking quarterbacks, where these guys go, where Daniel Dimes is going to go, like these back end Joe Flacco bums and stuff like that. Like, are people going to reach on their second quarterback early? I'm always curious to see the strategy here, but who do you want to see go off the board, and where do you think they're going to go?
I want to see where Drake May is going to go. He's been getting steamed up all off season. It's been looking good. Kind of that whole tandem of Henderson and Drake May. I think we're going to see them climb the boards. The Jets backfield really intrigues me. It kind of seems like there's a fall of Breece Hall right now, and Braylon Allen's getting a little bit of steam. So I'm interested in that. One other player that is, in the news now is Devon Achane with a calf injury. So is that going to see him fade? I think we've usually seen him kind of at the middle to the back end of the second. Is he going to fall into the 3rd round today?
Yeah, I mean, Achane, obviously these injuries in the offseason can move these guys all around. Achane was a 2nd round pick just a month ago, so I think you can't really fully fade this guy at that point, but you have to be cautious. You want your 1st, 2nd round picks to be set it and forget it, And then Daniel Jones edition, like, what does that do to Jonathan Taylor's value? What does it do to the pass catcher's value? Like, obviously it's very hard to go tap, Josh Downs and even Jonathan Taylor, when Anthony Richardson's there, is going to be vulturing touchdowns. He's not going to be accurate. Not that Daniel doesn't be accurate at all, but I think they're going to at least try to throw the ball a little bit more. And I think it's going to be more of a middle of the field, and then an open line for the running game. I think that benefits Jonathan Taylor tremendously.
Yeah, I think one guy sticking with the Colts is going to be Tyler Warren. I think we saw his utilization in the preseason, and with somebody like like Daniel Jones, who is a better passer than Anthony Richardson, even though that's not saying much, I think that could be a little bit of boost to Tyler Warren initially until we see Josh Downs come back.
Yeah. I think I got everybody almost in here right now. We're missing a couple guys, but I think if I hit go, maybe they'll jump on here. Let's get it started, baby. I got Noah on first, so 101. Let's do it. Yeah, I mean, I there's so much murk. There's so many guys that could be value coming in, like who's going to lead the Dallas Cowboys backfield. The backfields are all crazy. Is RJ Harvey? Obviously set it and forget it. The value of RJ Harvey has been all over the board a little bit as of late. People are either very in or very out at that point. There's all the rookies. You always see like good rookies in redraft that are always falling behind, like the Matthew Goldens and everybody that, in that range of player, it's hard to take over a Mike Evans in redraft or, a DK Metcalf or something. You know what I mean? Like these guys hold more value for the 1 year, which is hard for me to turn off when it comes to me being a dynasty content creator. It's hard for me to take a Mike Evans over a T-Mac or something, it's like very difficult for me to grasp that. But this is super flex. Obviously you took Lamar Jackson there. Rushing quarterback is key. So we got Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson. That tier is set and forget it at that point. You're going to see the same three guys over and over again, I think, at this stage. And when it comes to, all right, Warlick Panda, obviously autoed. Not great to have an auto right off the bat like that, but what are we going to do? I don't know if Chase goes there, but pretty close to it, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's far off. Maybe we would have saw him slide to the 106 where you're sitting, but I think it's just fine going at the 104. Going back to these quarterbacks you're talking about, I think if you can land a top 3 pick in redraft like this, it opens up so many options for you, right? We've seen the quarterback value grow because of last year's class. So you can go and get your RB1 at the back end. I just think that there's so many different options for you.
Man, I'm looking at the ADP right now. Joe Burrow's up here. Jalen Hurts is down here. Do we like Joe Burrow this year more than Jalen Hurts?
I think that Bengals offense. I don't think that Bengals offense is going to change from last year. You might see the touchdown efficiency drop a bit, but the volume is still going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta go. I'm gonna go Burrow there, but I don't know. I mean, we're looking at it right now. That could be a switch swap. A little, tush push is still living large right now. I think they struggled a little bit. I don't think that we see the AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts connection be as off as it was last year. But it is what it is. We know what Joe Burrow is, but that was the first healthy year of Higgins I think I've ever seen. Like first fully healthy year, like it was very rare to have both of those guys, Chase and Higgins, on the field for the first couple of years at the same time. So if they can keep that going and we can see the health prevail on Higgins, I mean, I'm for it. I think that Joe Burrow is the sky's the limit, even without the rushing.
And I agree that defense hasn't changed at all. They're still in a contract debate. And now they're waving Trey Hendrickson around as trade bait. If they add to Chase Brown and give him a bigger workload, I think that's just going to open up the offense to be even more efficient. I really don't think you could have went wrong with Joe Burrow where you did.
Yeah, after Joe Burrow, obviously Hurts goes right there. And then we see Justin Jefferson, Gibbs, Barkley. CeeDee Lamb is my wide receiver 1 of this year. I think I would gladly grab him over Justin Jefferson at this point. I just think that we're looking at the Cowboys being a hyper targeted offense when it comes to passing. I think that We're looking at Dak having a monster year and probably throwing it, 30, 40 times a game at this point, especially with that offense set up like that way for Pickens. And I think Pickens actually helps CeeDee Lamb. So I've been banging the table for CeeDee Lamb quite a bit. After him, we saw Amon-Ra St. Brown. Do you want Amon-Ra or Malik Neighbors this year?
I'm taking Neighbors. We saw the hyper targeting when he had Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, a little bit of Daniel Jones. Whether you like it or not, Russ is an upgrade over all of them. I truly think that we're going to see Jackson Dart sooner than later, and there's going to be a connection there that boosts Neighbors into that elite value. I think he could easily be a top 3 wide receiver in redraft without batting an eye.
Yeah, I mean, I don't fault anybody for taking Amon-Ra, but at that point, I think I want the guy that has essentially nobody. Like I did a video on the wide receiver 2, and I think, when we're talking about the wide receiver 2 of the Giants, like what, 700 yards, maybe 600 yards. Yep. When we're talking about the wide receiver 2 of the Lions, the Jameson, I think they just have way too much talent around them. I want the guy that doesn't have the target competition at that point. And it's not the only thing that's going to make me choose him, but there's too much going on in Detroit for me to just feel comfortable with that. I'm back on the clock right now. I mean, I got to go. I think I would have taken Puka. Yeah, I'm going Puka right here. I'm going just ADP. I think that we're looking at Puka with a healthy Stafford, possibly. Back injuries are no joke. But, I mean, a healthy Stafford with Puka, yeah, he's in that Amon-Ra St. Brown territory with that, with Stafford straight up.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters who Puka has as a quarterback. I think he is more leaning towards one of the wide receivers that is quarterback proof. I don't know if it's going to be Stetson Bennett, if it's going to be Jimmy G. I saw you tweeting the other day, maybe they go and get Kirk Cousins if the Stafford back issue lingers. And I think Puka is going to thrive with whoever's back there.
Yeah. I think to a degree. I don't think we see the massive ceiling, but I think that's the case for anybody at that point. When you're an alpha, you're an alpha. But after Puka, we saw Drake London. I see Drake London. I know that Huncho's a big London guy. I am also a big London guy this year. I think that we're looking at London jumping a little bit in value. And then Derrick Henry. We see Nico Collins, A.J. Brown, Patrick Mahomes back there. I also see Patrick Mahomes jumping a lot. I think that at the end of the second for Patrick Mahomes, if you're going to start a draft with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, if you told me at the beginning of last year that you were going to do that, I would have said you won already. I think that is, if you're going to get those two guys in the Superflex league, yeah, I mean, you're in good shape, man, for sure. We're seeing this tier of running back jump. We see a chain go. So a chain went 301. That's not too far off from, where he normally would go, especially in redraft. Then McConkey's going. Bo Nix is before, that's Bo Nix before Baker.
Kyler, Justin Herbert.
I'm fine taking him over Kyler all day, but I don't know. That's spicy, in redraft, that's spicy. I think, at this point, I'm going with my guy JSN because I know you would go there if I wasn't going there.
Damn straight.
The beauty of going a little bit ahead of you in this round, but I think JSN has set it and forget it for 1,200 yards and probably 10 touchdowns this year. Yeah. I cannot tell you how excited I am for him to just be the pure alpha there. I can't name 3 wide receivers on that team. I think that we're looking at, well, actually I can. I know that Torrey Horton's over there, but yeah, I don't want to exaggerate there, but yeah, I think that he is in line for a massive boost, and I think that we've talked about this ad nauseum on the Dynasty Pod where it's like, I think JSN deserves a little more um, hype a little bit, as you should say. I think that we saw Sam Darnold make a jump, at least, as far as Sam Darnold goes in the right system. I think he's gonna thrive in this system right now, and I think he's just gonna throw to JSN 10, 20 times a game at this point. I think he might have a couple like 15 to 18 target games.
I don't disagree with you at all. They've actually been a team that I've tried to watch in preseason because I wanted to see how Darnold reacts to the new system that's being put in. And, the Seahawks are fast paced. They're running the ball at will. And then JSN is just a route technician and always finds those soft spots. And if you throw the ball in his vicinity, he is coming down with it. Like, he has such strong hands. He has the ability to gain leverage and beat the corner on that and come down with the ball.
Yeah. So I went JSN, Josh Jacobs, Chase Brown. There's Drake May right there at 310. I think that obviously that was you, so that's good value right there. Mm-hmm. There's T. Higgins. Kyron Williams is obviously the guy that has no respect in the community, I think. I love Kyron Williams this year, especially with that new contract. There's Breece Hall. So Breece Hall could be big value, And then George Kittle. George Kittle, I think, could be the tight end 1 this year. I'm on the clock, though. I got to stop talking for a second.
Yeah, in regards to Kyron, like, we heard that last year with Blake Corum that he was coming for his job. You and I both like Jarquez Hunter. This contract extension kind of solidifies him as the one. I think the battle is in between Corum and Hunter for that 2 job. I think the hate has to stop now with Kyron getting that contract, right? He's McVay's guy, unquestioned, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we're talking about ancillary pieces around him when it comes to Corum and Hunter. I mean, I think they're still going to get a little bit of play. They're still going to see the field a little bit, but yeah, that contract and they've really shown their hands that Kyron's still going to be the guy this year. And whether that continues, I'm not sure, but at this point in time, you got to believe where the money is. You got to believe it's not like Miles Sanders where, this guy's getting a contract with no juice. Obviously we saw what Kyron Williams did last year. It's, you got to respect him this year for sure. And then reassess next year. The running back contracts are always so front loaded. I don't trust a guy for multiple years in a contract. It's not going to make or break me in dynasty, but we're talking redraft today and he's big time value, I think, right there going behind all of these guys. If you took Kyron Williams right where a chain is, I wouldn't have faulted you, I think. But Jonathan Taylor at 305, I love that. I've fallen a little behind here. Sam Laporta is going 4-4. And then I went Baker Mayfield. I'm liking all these teams, to be honest with you, man. I like these squads. It's hard not to like in the beginning. Tyreek Hill's a little early. I think that's early, but I think it could pay off big time if it works out for you. Terry McLaurin is also somebody I was curious where he was going. He's still going in the 4th round. And then we see Omari and Hampton and then Kamara. So it's not a lot of big time surprises on this board. I think, obviously the biggest risers right now, we're looking at, Travion Henderson going in the 4th round. Travion Henderson is going before Hampton, that wasn't something that we saw. And that is something I guess makes more sense now. I was always telling people to trade their Hamptons for Henderson plus if you can get it. I did it a couple times this year, but there's Rashee Rice going there right before Mike Evans. I'm going to take a rookie right now that I think is going to see a ton of targets this year.
There you go.
And that is T-Mac, Tatora McMillan. So I think he's going to be a hyper-targeted guy out there in Carolina. I think that he's going to be their main source of offense at this point, and he's going to be a value. I think he shouldn't be going where he's going. I think that tier is actually pretty good, though. Like when you're talking about Rice, Evans, and McMillan, I like that.
Yeah.
I could see that little tier becoming. If Rice didn't have that lingering suspension, he'd be going where Marvin Harrison Jr. is right now, right?
I agree.
You know,
I agree.
that discount could help. Maybe he doesn't see a suspension this year. I mean, maybe they don't even get to it. We've seen it happen before. Obviously, they're already talking about it, but you know, the fact that they can't get it to the middle of the season could benefit him, right?
I agree with you. You never know what's going to happen. They saw the Addison suspension come out. There were rumors on Twitter that the NFL asked for 10 games. I think the PA is definitely going to fight that for Rice. You might be right. Hopefully, best case scenario, I think, is he gets suspended at the start of the year. What we saw of him potentially missing the middle of the season is no good for anybody's fantasy team, whether that's dynasty, that's redraft. All right, I'm going to take a rookie wide receiver that seems like he's kind of cooled off now. We haven't heard as much about Travis Hunter lately. I don't know if that is not necessarily prospect fatigue, but everybody's starting to see the rest of the rookies make some plays, so they want to talk about them. What are your thoughts on Hunter?
I don't know, because it's really hard without the usage in your mind for redraft. I'm all in it for, you know, when we're talking about dynasty. I think it's a hard tap when we're talking about redraft. And that's not even I'm on the clock right now. I'm looking down the board a little bit. I don't like a lot of these guys. I don't like a lot of these guys. I don't hate a lot of these guys, but they're hard for me to just go all in on. I think I want to do something funky here and go Tyler Warren all the way up there.
Okay.
I think we're looking at somebody that is going to really boom in this offense. You know, I think that he's going to be a safety blanket for Daniel Jones early on in the season. I like that value. I like where he's at. And, you know, we always play in tight end premium league. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to hope that he's going to be my tight end one in this build right here. I like Hunter to go back on. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I like Hunter to go back on, but yeah, I think that this range is fine. I think I'd rather have a Devonta Smith this year or Xavier Worthy, even, to be honest. And
yeah,
I think that's just risk tolerance talking right now.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I already, you know, I took Kenneth Walker at the 5'10", who I'm high on this year, but you can't ignore the injury. So I think I've kind of created a volatile pick in the 5th and 6th, where if they hit their ceilings, those might end up being my league winners. Maybe it's a little bit too early in the draft. There's still a good pool to choose from to label them as that. But I think in redraft, I'm going to take a swing on it.
Yeah. I mean, the ceiling is incredible right there. You know, if you took Travis Hunter right after Chuba Hubbard and DK Metcalf, yeah. Pickens behind Metcalf is interesting. I think that people are sleeping on Pickens a little bit, but that's all right.
And Hunter was able to get the stack there.
Yeah, I went Warren, and then RJ Harvey went right after me. I'm back on the clock right now, and I'm looking around. I got the rankings looking. I see some guys. Let's see. I think I can't turn my redraft, my dynasty brain off, but
you're out of. Oh, you got it.
No, I tapped him. I know what I'm working with, dude. I got the fast fingers, man.
You got that internal clock, hey?
Yeah, I felt the pressure, but I think people dislike Caleb Johnson for a lot of reasons, but I don't think you should. I think he's really going to come in and be a more juiced up Najee. And it doesn't sound sexy, but I think if we're talking in this range, you know, like poor Andrew just autoed Joe Mixon, but there's not a lot of sex on the board when it comes to running back at this range. I like Pacheco. I like David Montgomery. But I don't think any of those guys can offer the ceiling of Caleb Johnson if he's going to get 65, 70% of the snap share, you know, because Warren's not that guy. Warren's not a I'm going to go be a workhorse. Warren's going to come in, mix some plays up, be a pass catcher a little bit. He's not going to eat up whatever Caleb Johnson's already going to get at this point. People are very scared of an Arthur Smith offense.
Yes, they are. And do you think that's going to be more of a Tennessee Titans, or do you think that's going to be, the tire fire that was the Falcons when he was head coaching?
I don't know. I mean, I think that he's in a different world right now. I think that he was really fighting for a head coaching position at that point. I hate this range, dude. I think Tony Pollard is massive value, though. I think that Tony Pollard this year is, especially with the injury to Tajay, he's got the high ankle sprain. I like him right there for sure.
Yeah, in the middle of the 8th, that's your RB2. I think that's going to be great production there for you. When you look what else is on the board, it's Brian Robinson that could be cut, could be traded. It's Tyrone Tracy, who's going to end up sharing a backfield with Cam Scadaboo. I don't think taking the starter for the Titans is the wrong move there.
Yeah, we're seeing the board kind of paid out. Obviously, Calvin Ridley's big time value. Calvin Ridley won it right after Pollard. I think Calvin Ridley should be going higher in redraft. For playing just for this year. I think that he should be up there as far as going with the DK Metcalfs and the Chris Olaves. Bryce Young finally going. It's funny, man. Superflex, people always fade out QB2. I think you're going to see still some good value. Like Penix is right there. Cam Ward. It doesn't hurt to wait on your QB2. I think I went a little early on somebody that I probably could have waited and grabbed some good value beforehand for sure. But you live and you learn, baby. You just do it. I think that, I couldn't pass up Baker coming in, getting Ibuka. Wait, did we even see Ibuka go off? Did I miss him?
No, but he's in my queue.
How is he not gone yet?
I don't know. And I immediately clicked Purcell and regretted it.
Somebody's listening.
Because
Ibuka just went. I mean, that's insane, right? I think
that is.
I even forgot about Ibuka to a degree right there. I think I wanted to lock up some running back depth. But
there it is. That's exploiting ADP and a couple
you guys.
autos.
So we absolutely are still seeing Ibuka being slept on. We're looking at the 8th round right there. And there is two straight autos in this draft. I know that Jay Soley is in and out, but I think that it does skew the ADP a little bit, but at this point, yeah. No way should have Ibuka been going right there. That's silly.
Yep.
Silly time USA right there. Yeah, there's still a good amount of value on the board.
So now in these last few rounds, is this for you where you're taking handcuffs, you're trying to find what's going to be the ceiling play, your league winners? What's your thought process on these last couple of rounds?
Last couple of rounds, it's depth for sure. I like to look at the positions that are really tough and go in and really grab the guys that I think could slot in as far as, who is going to be. All right, so I got to pick right now. Oh, give me Tracy. I mean, the position that's the hardest in redraft for me is running back. I always have difficulty with running back, right? So I want to shore up the bench with a good amount of back end guys that could emerge. But then there's also, I think you're going to hit the waiver wire hard. But the idea is, especially if there's trading in your redraft league, which is kind of like, different, but a lot of people enjoy it. I think that you want to grab the guys that could emerge as the ones, like the certain guys back and like the Bigsby's. Like I'm seeing you just grab Bigsby right there. I mean, he could be the one. Who knows? Tootin, that whole backfield, like we have no idea how that's going to play out. So grabbing those guys in the murky backfields like Javonte Williams, certain guys that we haven't really seen emerge as the ones, but could end up being, and that's big time value. If you end up getting the running back one of the Dallas Cowboys in the 10th round, that's great. And you hope and pray. And then if not, they're the guys that you are using for drop pieces, because there's always going to be emergence on the waiver wire and redraft. That's the best part of redraft. You're playing the wire, you're picking the next guys, you're streaming, whatever it is. But I usually go in and I grab either the guys that I can wait on, like a Chris Godwin right here, could really net you good value, at some point in time. Especially if you have, an IR spot on your redraft team. There's still too much on the board right now, though. I think that we're seeing Khalil Shakir down there. Even Stephon Diggs this year is great value, right? Tucker Kraft is probably the tight end one of that team. Josh Downs. I mean, Josh Downs with Daniel Dimes, I think I like a lot.
Yeah, we just saw Jacoby Myers go at the 10-4. Like that's,
Jacoby Myers went.
He's a consummate pro that always puts up his points. I don't think that Jack
like
Dash is going to be an issue.
Trey Benson right here. I do. I think that, I think that I'm going for those guys when I'm talking about bench spots. If I have my starting lineup locked in, I want guys that could easily become the running back one of their teams, or they have that range of outcomes. I'd rather do that than get my fifth wide receiver. I think that people take too many wide receivers in redraft at that point. When we're talking about strategy, it's tough, but you're never going to need 5 or 6 wide receivers on a team. Yep. In general, I think that wide receiver is easier to grab off the wire for a spot start. Like if you have an injury to, like Jawan Jennings was like a hot streamer last year, and these random guys that, like if you have Addison out for a couple games, like you might want to grab, their third. Who's there? That's man.
That'd be Ty Felton with the Vikings right now.
I don't think it's Ty Felton right now.
No.
You think Ty Felton's already the third option?
Well, it's him or Naylor.
I think it's Naylor, honestly.
Yeah. But we saw a little bit of production there.
Yeah. We're seeing these guys. We saw Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt go in the 10th round. Man, I'm loving it. Cam Scatterbo, Cam Ward is going all the way back there. So if you waited for your QB2 and you got Cam Ward, I still our Geno Smith over here.
Yep.
I feel pretty good about that. I think it's a testament to how you should wait on your QB2 in redraft for sure. Now we're seeing this run of tight ends, Mason Taylor, Tucker Kraft, Jonnu Smith's going back there. I'm looking right now. I'm on the board. I think I want, at this point, I think I'm going to take a Khalil Shakir. I still really like him in Buffalo. I think that Shakir is lining up to be the one on that team. I know we see hearing hums of Keon Coleman maybe figuring it out, but he doesn't offer the same skill set that Khalil Shakir offers. I think that he's the alpha on that team. And I think, you're getting the alpha to Josh Allen in the 11th round in redraft. I think that you can't pass up on that. Especially even Luther Burden. So we just saw Josh Down, Luther Burden, and Khalil Shakir go. And then Cooper Kupp's in there as well. Diggs, Pittman, I don't love, but it is what it is. All these guys are such value picks, like we just, yeah, that's the end. We didn't do a massive long. We could have went a little longer on that, but at this point, break down the board a little bit. We'll talk about overall value and redraft and break it down. But what do you like on this board right now? What do you see that is the sexiest pick, nicest team? I like Huncho's team a lot. We're looking at teams right now. They got Bijan, Josh Jacobs, Jay Soley always has a nice redraft team. Shout out to Jay Soley. I like that team. Honestly, all these teams look good, dude. I think it's wild. Like you could make a case for any team right now. I don't ever like to go into a mock draft and say whose team's the best. All these teams look good. Keyshawn Judkins is going 6.9. I mean, Judkins is always a point of conversation right now because he's still not signed, and he hasn't played any snaps at all in camp. He hasn't seen any offenses. He hasn't sat with any practices or anything. So he's probably going to take a lot of time when he does sign to even get up to speed, right?
Absolutely.
I don't know. Do you like Judkins this year? You like him figuring it out and getting in there?
No, I've kind of leaned towards fading Judkins because, like you said, he hasn't been around the team facility. He hasn't been practicing. We understand the risks of when you're behind schedule, like everybody else is. What injuries may occur? Are you going to be able to jive with the scheme that's going? Is Stefanski even going to just have him in and be the alpha? Like it might be Jerome Ford taking the lion's share of the workload to begin with Dylan Sampson. They slowly work in Judkins, and I don't know. I don't think that he's going to be somebody that comes in the last half of the year and provides what you want for him. So I understand the fall here.
Yeah, honestly. So I'm going to kick it over. We're going to talk a little fast draft right now. So I'm going to set this up and then we're going to come back. We'll talk a little redraft value. I think this is fun to switch it up a little bit. So we're going to talk about, let me see, Origins. So if you guys aren't doing fast drafts right now, it's a great time to go in there, go into fast drafts. We do the best ball Origins draft, which is all rookies. So we'll go in there, go into it. You can draft all rookies. You can get ahead of ADP. There's no rake. Use our promo code DEGEN. So it's DEGEN and get up to $50 deposit match. So listen to Podfather and we'll get right back to it.
It is a damn shame we only get to do a handful of rookie drafts every season. After doing all this rookie analysis, you want more bites at the apple. And that's why we have the Fast Draft Origins tournament. You draft 6 rookies, the top 4 into your lineup. It's best ball style, and it's just $5 to win a $5,000 first prize. So if you're passionate about Taj Brooks or RJ Harvey, get on Fast Draft and use your favorite creator's code to get a $50 deposit match, to go make thousands of dollars drafting the rookies that you know and love.
My man loves that apple, dude. He loves getting in that apple. Yeah, like I said, use our promo code DEGEN, DEGEN, and get a $50 deposit match. So if you're not on Fast Draft, definitely jump over there and do that. We just did a mock draft, so redraft mock draft for this year. We're talking about values on the board for this year. We just talked about Emeka Egbuka. Man, he's still going in the 8th round. So if you want to exploit some ADP right there, Emeka Egbuka in the 8th round is crazy value. Even after all the hype, after everything, his ADP is still way down there. So the rookies are always way down there. This is a super flex mock. We see Cam Ward going in the 10th round, Mason Taylor in the 11th round, Luther Burden in the 11th round. There's just a ton of value with rookies. And your Loveland is 9.6. Matthew Golden is 9.2. We see this all the time. We saw Justin Jefferson going in the 7th, 8th round his rookie year. We see Jamar Chase going in the 7th, 8th round rookie year. There's too much value, man. There's too much going on. We got Albert. Albert, what's up, brother? Nice to jump in. And then we got Noah talking about ETN. ETN's value, when you're playing redraft, it's so fun to draft early on because there's no depth chart set, especially with ETN, we have no idea if it's going to be ETN, Bashal Tuin. There's Tank Bigsby over there. And then for Dallas, there's still so many murky backfields that you can take advantage fully. What do you see, Dane, that you liked on the board that you thought was kind of silly? There's Jordan Mason. I see that you guys, you particularly got a bunch of value. What's your favorite pick that you had that you were just like, why the hell is he still on the board?
I really like my Mark Andrews pick at 710. I think that you could argue, last year he got hit by that vehicle. He was dealing with the tightrope surgery on his foot still. I think we're going to see him rebound a little bit. I think that he can score higher than Hawkinson and to go almost a round later, if I'm reading that right, because my screen is so small. I think that was a little bit of value there. I think seeing Xavier Worthy and Jameson Williams, who, even though I'm not in on for redraft in the 7th round, is massive value.
Yeah, we'll have this up right now just so you can actually see it and you don't have to squint through your screen right now. But yeah. I mean, Worthy, we're talking about Rice not getting suspended, but I think Worthy is still going to be a massive value. Yeah. So I did a pod about 2 weeks ago where I talked about regression. And, I sat down with the player profiler, analytics guy that does all of the numbers. He sets everything up. And we had, Kansas City as positive regression all the way through. We had Mahomes being positive regression, and then we also had Xavier Worthy getting positive regression for next year too. So I think that connection is going to only grow. Year 2 rookie wideouts, especially when they're talking about a big play threat like Xavier Worthy, their year 2 jumps are pretty good. I expect Worthy to get over 1,000 yards this year. I expect a lot more big plays. And if your league helps you out and gives you extra points for big plays, I think Worthy is somebody you can't pass up, especially in that range. There's a ton of, I guess, value when it comes to running back. I love Isaiah Pacheco this year. I know that Brashard Smith is still going to, catch passes, and Pacheco's never been that guy anyway. I'm not worried about him losing work to Brashard Smith. I think Pacheco, Pollard. So Tony Pollard is going in that range too. I think Tony Pollard there is kind of silly, especially when we're looking at, Tajay Spears missing 4 to 6, probably not going to be ready until October at this point, and even then he's going to be like, chalk back. But Chuba Hubbard is good value. And then we're looking in the back end of guys like the Zach Charbonnet. I love Sharp. I think that we've seen the health of Walker. I think in redraft, you got to grab these guys, There's a good case to wait for running back in redraft when I'm looking at this board, right?
So one guy too, since he's getting all the steam, we've talked about him for months. I think that we're both high on him. I don't think we necessarily saw this situation play out with the Commanders, but what do you think of JCM at the end of the 10th? Do you think there's any validity to Brian Robinson going to be getting moved? Do you think he stays with the Commanders? What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, this has been talked about too much, I think, at this point. But I think there is validity. I think that there is reason for them to probably see what they have, because I don't see a future with Brian Robinson. It doesn't make that much sense, though, just because they're not going to be saving money getting rid of Brian Robinson. The money doesn't match up to the fact, but there's too much smoke there for there not to be honestly, there's too much now for Brian Robinson to even want to play. I think that there's too much going on for him to feel comfortable on that team in general. So they have to do something at this point. I think they have to, whatever, we just saw a trade last night. I don't know, like the trade value in the NFL is so wacky. Like Brian Robinson could net the team a 4th rounder. I think that, you can get good value for these guys at this point. It's kind of silly, that nothing makes sense because it's such ebbs and flows. And Brian Robinson's not a lot of money on anybody's books at this point. So, if they move Brian Robinson, I still expect them to have some so I don't think JCM is going to just jump in and be the workhorse. But do I love him in the 10th round? And if he's going to be a 40 to 50% snap share guy on that team with Jaden Daniels, I think I love that. I think I really like that. I can't spin it in a negative way. I don't expect him to come in and be 100% snap share guy, but I think he's going to have good value if Brian Robinson's not there for sure.
If that's the case, I think you have to elevate Austin Eckler as well then, right? We didn't see
You
him in the 11th round here, but
I know you can definitely elevate him, but man, we haven't seen him fully healthy. We saw what happened his last year in LA. He's going to be fine, but he's in that Chubb realm to me. Like Austin Eckler is in that. He's going to probably get some touchdowns. He's going to do some short yardage stuff, maybe some catches. I don't think he's going to be a weekly starter in fantasy, though. I think he might be a great flex play when you're stuck on bye weeks, But I wouldn't expect more than like 8 to 9 points a game from Austin Eckler. I think it's going to be a change of pace, work in there. They want to keep him somewhat healthy, and they don't want to overwork Eckler at this point. Same with Chubb. They're not going to go and work him more than 40%. I think he's never going to see that again in his career. But Eckler's he's a locker room guy, man. He's there for all of the juice when it comes to helping out the young guys. And I think Eckler would be a great mentor for any young guy, especially JCM coming in there, not really, a 7th round running back. I think it'd be a good story. But I don't know. I can't get behind. I have Eckler on a bunch of dynasty teams that I can't get rid of him. I won't at this point. He's going to die on my roster. He's like Chubb. What are you going to sell him for a 4th rounder? Like they're just on the team until they retire at that point. Yeah. I was talking Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason's great. George Kittle is taken still. I guess he's still the tight end 3 off the board, but he's so far down there. I'd be okay snatching up George Kittle way up there. And then Laporta, the tight end landscape is crazy. We like Kelsey. I like Kelsey this year still.
I think Kelsey, if you're getting him in the 9th, sure, right? I think, like you said, there's going to be some positive regression to the Chiefs. If we see that Rice suspension, Worthy is going to have more of a solidified role, and I think we might see a bit of a resurgence from Kelsey. So I really like that pick.
Yeah, I mean, Ingram is crazy value because we're just seeing them shedding guys on that team. We saw Valet get traded yesterday. I think that team is going to be Mims, Ingram, Bryant, maybe some Troy Franklin in there, and Sutton. I know Sutton. I just missed him, obviously, but it's not. Nobody really moves me away from Ingram being the second option on that team, right? It's like he's set up to be in a Sean Payton offense and be the second targeted guy. And Bo Nix, I expect to have another great year, throwing the ball at least. So, and they have a running game this year. That's your team, man. So I think Ingram is a great value at this point, right?
Yeah, I agree with you at the 9-1. I think that's great. He might not be a big yak guy, but he's going to get fed the volume and he's going to fall into the end zone for a couple touchdowns and he's easily going to produce, maybe Addison looking at this draft board, who's going to miss a couple games. Zay Flowers, I think, is somebody that you could argue was overdrafted. I think Ingram there is great.
Yeah, I mean, Zay Flowers is in a run-first offense, and we saw him as the first option with a not-so-healthy Andrews, and he's still, I think his ceiling's capped. I think he is what it is. I think he's a 1,000-yard, 5-touchdown kind of guy. I don't think he's ever going to get, he's going to be stuck in that purgatory role, and he's either going to have to get traded or they're going to have to, end up changing their offensive scheme a little bit. But one more thing before we get out of here, I'm looking at Dak Prescott going behind Jared Goff, Caleb Williams, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy. I want Dak Prescott before all those guys.
In a redraft, honestly, absolutely. Yep.
This year with CeeDee Lamb and Pickens, I absolutely want Dak Prescott. you could go all the way up to Justin Herbert, and then I might have question marks, but like he should be going right after Baker Mayfield, I think, in a redraft. And you could, I mean, man, him and Baker might be dueling it out as far as their production goes this year. But Dak Prescott is slept on all day. I think that's crazy value. Yeah, man. What else you got? You got anything else before we get out of here?
No, I want to thank everybody for being in here and drafting these teams and giving us some content on the Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, you guys joining us right now in a matinee, like a Thursday afternoon show. I appreciate you guys because you're over there, whatever, in your cubicles at work or, whatever you do during the day to join us. I appreciate it greatly, especially to jump in a draft like that. So anybody that joined our draft today, appreciate you a lot. Anybody that listens, love y'all. The Dynasty Show is not going tonight. The Dynasty Show is actually going Saturday night at 9 p.m. So if you're looking for the Dynasty Show, you can join us Saturday night, 9 p.m. Dane, are you going to be there?
I'm there.
Dude, let's go, baby.
Yeah.
All right. We got a special guest. I'll drop that guest a little later today. So it's going to be a fun one. And obviously we're going Saturday. So I expect all you guys to be joining us on Saturday. But until then, appreciate you, DEGENS, and have a good afternoon.